Detroit Lions Podcast.
Hey guys, Brandon the Temp here from DetroitLionsPodcast.com, and today I'll be talking about my draft overview series looking at the tight end position. If you're unfamiliar with my draft overview series, I look at each position in the upcoming draft and give you 5 players that Detroit could be looking at and could end up being future Detroit Lions. So far I've done the quarterback, running back, and wide receiver positions, and now it's time for the tight ends. Before I give you my 5 players to watch out for, we got to talk about last season and see what happened. Eric Ebron had another good year, no problems with him, but it's the depth behind him was the big question. Tim Wright got injured during the offseason and he would miss the entire 2016 season, and Brandon Pettigrew would be put on the PUP list and later cut, leaving some big holes behind Eric Ebron. Detroit side undrafted free agent Cole Wick, who shined during training camp, but when it came to preseason regular season, he was a huge bust, got injured, and missed the rest of the year. Matthew Mulligan was also brought on, and he did pretty well as a blocking tight end. He might be competing for a spot this year. Clay Harbor was also signed, and he didn't seem to do too well. He wasn't the same player he was, so he probably won't be coming back. So the first player on my list, and it's on everyone's list, if you don't have this guy as your number 1 tight end, you're insane. It's O.J. Howard from Alabama. The dude can not only catch, but he can block. In his 4 years at Alabama, he caught 114 passes for 1,726 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, that is a lot of yards. He can really contribute in the blocking game. That's something that Detroit needs. Sure, Detroit did sign Darren Fells, but it's only for a 1-year contract. And while he is a good blocking tight end, O.J. Howard could learn a lot from him, and he could possibly compete even with Eric Ebron for the starting job. If not, he can compete with Fells for the backup/blocking role. Now, when it comes to receiving the ball, Howard does a really good job. He's got soft hands, really good route running skills. He really makes him stand out. And also, he ran a 4.51 at the combine. That's pretty damn fast for a tight end. So with his size at 6'6", he can easily get a big gain on a short 2-3 yard throw, turn it into a 10-15 yard gain. Blocking wise for Howard, he does take on linebackers head on, and he wins those battles most of the time. He's able to keep them inside, doesn't get them near the ball carrier, near the receiver, whoever has the ball. He pretty much protects them pretty well. Now, some negatives about him, if he's going to want to play on the line next to a lineman in the NFL and block, he's going to have to get stronger. That's something that he definitely needs to work on. When running routes, the defender seems to pretty much know where he's going to go. He doesn't try and get the extra juke move, try and get the extra gain over the defender. Defenders pretty much know where he's going, so if he has that quick speed, he can get by him, but if they know where he's going and they're as fast as him or faster, he can be able to pick off that ball if they know where he's going. Overall, O.J. Howard is going to be a first-round pick, as he is a for-sure playmaker in the next level. Some people are even comparing him to Julius Thomas. That seems like a pretty good comparison to me. The next tight end I'll be talking about here is Jake Butt from the University of Michigan. Now, he did have a fantastic career, but what did end up hurting his draft stock was tearing his ACL in his final game at Michigan. He was projected as a first-rounder, maybe early second-rounder, but he's definitely fallen to the 3rd, 4th, and sometimes even people have him in the 5th round. But he is recovering well. It's a good sign to see. He might actually be able to play this year, as early reports saying he was going to miss the entire year. He might actually be able to play. Now, when looking at his stats, he ended up grabbing 138 catches for 1,646 yards for 11 touchdowns. But is primarily a receiving tight end. He can do some blocking. He's not the best at it, but he can do it if you ask him to. Jake Butt definitely has some strong hands to be in the NFL. He's got that good size. If the ball's thrown in a tight window, he's able to snag it and secure it, get down, get the play over with. He's definitely a good tight end when it comes to that. Also, he's really good at destroying zone coverage. He can just find the hole, plop right into it, catch the ball, gain a couple yards. If not, he can go right into the zone, snag it, make a turn or two, and turn upfield. When it comes to blocking one-on-one, Jake Butt has a 50-50 chance of winning that battle. But if you put him on the offensive line next to a tackle, he's going to really help the run game and get the ball going. One of his biggest problems is when he's against a speedy linebacker, they can easily get around him real quickly, get to the quarterback, and get an easy sack. So you definitely want to take advantage of Jake Butt. If he's on that line, he's asked him to do a one-on-one coverage by himself against a speedy linebacker. That linebacker is going to get right to the quarterback. And Jake Butt isn't really the fastest guy. His feet aren't that well when he's planting. When he's a receiver and he's trying to get open, he can't get open that well because of his slow speed. But he can definitely catch the ball really well and adjust his route if needed to get open for the quarterback. While he will miss a good chunk of time in 2017, Jake Butt is a for sure 2nd, 3rd round pick, even with the torn ACL. Next up on my list is Michael Roberts, and he's from the University of Toledo. Now, he doesn't have the numbers like O.J. Howard and Jake Butt with only 70 catches for 832 yards, but he does have a staggering 22 touchdowns, which is really impressive to see. He can definitely help the receiving department for Stafford and give him another good weapon down the field. Now, Roberts does have some big hands, and that does help when it comes to catching the football. He can actually control his body pretty well and grab some really good catches when he's outside his frame, which definitely helps out. His blocking game does struggle. He's actually a little bit worse than Jake Butt when it comes to that. He tends to lean too high sometimes on the defender and actually falls face first. I've seen multiple clips of him going up high on the defender and then just falling. He can't finish his blocks half the time. Again, just like Jake Butt, quick linebackers get around him real quickly and they easily get a sack or a tackle for loss, so he's not too quick on his feet. While his route running skills could improve, Roberts would be a good red zone threat for Detroit. And I see him being available around the 4th round, and Detroit did go to the Toledo Pro Day, so that's a good sign for them. The 4th tight end I'm looking at here is Jeremy Sprinkle from Arkansas. Now, Jeremy Sprinkle is another player that his draft stock did get affected, but not because of an injury, because of stupidity. Jeremy Sprinkle was at the Belk store, as each of the players for the Belk Bowl game were able to get a shopping spree, and Jeremy Sprinkle thought that'd be a great time to steal stuff from the Belk store. Not the smartest idea from the tight end who has a good future ahead of him. He was projected a 2nd and 3rd round pick, and now he's fallen to the 4th, 5th round just because of his character issues. But besides that, when you look at his stuff on the field, he's not a bad player. He's got 71 catches for 921 yards and 11 touchdowns. He's another dual threat tight end that can block and receive. Now, he's more known for blocking than receiving, but still he's not a bad tight end to have. His size can actually be compared to an NFL offensive lineman. It's a really big size, which helps him when it comes to blocking, but it hurts when he's receiving because Sprinkle isn't the fastest guy. He actually ran a 4.69 at the combine. Not good numbers to have. In some film I was watching for him, he would do many plays where he would do a quick block and run out for a pass, and those plays didn't really work for him. He was too slow to get out. If he was a faster tight end, those plays would work, but those types of plays do not help Sprinkle at all. Some good things about him, he can go low and grab some passes that are underthrown or anything that's low to make sure the defender can't even get the ball. But with his big size, he can go up to those 50-50 balls and be able to snag it out of the air with his big athletic size. With Sprinkle's bad intentions at the Belk Bowl, he has now fallen to the 4th, 5th round area, and if Detroit's looking for a tight end late, Jeremy Sprinkle should be available in the 5th round. And the final tight end I'm looking at here is George Kittle from Iowa. Now, not much has been talked about Kittle. He's really low prospect here. He only had 48 catches for 737 yards and 10 touchdowns at Iowa. Now, he is the smallest tight end of this group, only at 6'4", which is still pretty good height, but not compared to the other guys who are 6'5" and 6'6". His blocking skills are there, though. He's primarily a blocking tight end. He does really well. He keeps his hands inside of the frame of defender, not drawing any holding penalties, which is really good to see. And he also ran a 4.52 at the combine, so he's a pretty fast tight end. If he needs to get open real quickly, he can do that for you. He also has solid hands, and he only had 1 drop in his 4 years at Iowa. That's something that a lot of people criticize Ebron on, is his drops. Well, this player doesn't drop that many balls. Only 1 at Iowa. 1 in 4 years. That's pretty impressive. So that's definitely something you can give him a good grade on. Now, Kittle's the only one on this list I can say won't be competing for a backup spot. He would most likely be a 3rd string behind Fells, but he'd be another good addition for Detroit. If Detroit wants to get a tight end late in this draft, in the 6th round per se, Kittle should be there and would be a good addition to the team. Thanks for watching. You can find other great content like this at DetroitLionsPodcast.com.